opening up the Get Closer experience. This is actually episode 2. Elder Jeanette, were you able to tune in for episode 1 because it was so amazing with Miss Joyce Littell and Pastor Tony Cash. They really dug into what is passion versus what we feel like we're called to do and really got down to the nitty gritty. So on this series, we will be talking about your why in regards to your purpose and how you can live it out every single day. I'll be speaking from the millennial perspective, which, I'm a 90s baby. And then Elder Jeanette, you tell us what perspective you'll be speaking from.
Well, the title says elder, but don't let the title fool you. I'm a young thing, but I've got a few years that I may be able to offer some additional wisdom for those that are in the older age category.
That's what I'm talking about. So this is millennial to generation what? What generation are you?
Well, we don't need to get into all of that. We don't.
She's the generation of wisdom, wise, the hustle generation. They knew before we grew generation. That's what we're going to call it.
That's what we'll go with.
Awesome. So I'm excited to get into this series, but before we do, I want to give the audience a little closer to the Closer experience. So Closer is our midweek experience at Leadership Church. We call it an experience because it can be a variation of small groups, Bible study, midweek pop-up service, chat, choose, panel discussions, conversations, and coaching groups. This is bigger than what you know from church. We're not just sitting, looking at the Bible, trying to interpret what they're talking about. No, we are putting it into action so you can go out them doors on Sunday and actually live in your purpose. The Believers 4 C's for leadership is your calling, your competence, confidence, and character. And you can connect with us at leadchurchatl.org. leadchurchatl.org. We're also on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. So you can connect with us everywhere, not just in the house of the Lord, all over the internet. So are you ready?
Absolutely. And I just want to say that I know that I am a step in tonight, but I'm still honored to be here. I know that the Kedra was the main speaker for tonight, and she is out sick tonight. So we wish her quick healing.
Yes.
We have her in our thoughts and our prayers so that she has a quick healing. So,
absolutely.
But I'm glad to be here in her place.
Yes, I'm happy to have you here. We've had a relationship through church for some years now, but I've never had the opportunity to pick your brain. So this is a first. I ain't never picked your brain, so I don't even know.
It might get scary. It might get scary.
Who are you? Tell us who you are. It could be a quick 2-sentence, but what's that thing that draws people to you, or what's the phenomenal thing that God has gifted you with?
I'll just quickly say that I've been at the Leadership Church for a while now, and I'm just amazed at, honestly, my own growth. And if you had asked me even years ago if I would have been an elder, I would have laughed at you. But as we talk about purpose a little bit tonight, I think that will start to reveal part of the conversation of how I got to where I am, and just the amazing work that God is doing, even in my life.
I love that. Yeah. You're like what we call traditional woman. I feel like if somebody was like, what is a traditional woman? I would honestly envision you.
No, I love
it. So as a millennial, how did you set the pillars of being a traditional woman, especially when we talk about the purpose of women, because we're 2 women? Mm-hmm. What is that embodiment of a traditional woman?
Well, for me, part of it is really having a vision, for one, of who I wanted to be, who I saw myself as. And I've always saw myself as someone who was, well kept together, could look the part, speak the part, but just had character, substance, qualities of caring, and in a servant mindset as well. And I think that that's one of the key things is learning to be a servant.
Yes.
So those are the core things that I saw even before I really understand God moving in my life. Those were the pillars of the quality of woman I saw myself becoming. And so really walking into that.
And have you always been what I call the model traditional woman? Was this your character in your 20s, your 30s, your teens? Is it something that you've carried all this time, or is it something that you grew into?
in many aspects, it's something I've carried. I've never been a real person that was in a lot of cliques. I was quiet and to myself, but very involved in things like sports, what have you. But I've always had a certain way in which I've carried myself. Um, and that's been through my youth into my teenage years, and it's just kind of been who I am. So no great stretches one way or the other. It's been pretty much centered for the road for me.
Wow. So you've been a believer since the beginning. Like you were always taught to be a believer. This is not something that you jumped into as an adult. You've always been a believer.
I grew up in the church for the most part, and had a stint where I walked away, and then God saw fit to say, okay, now it's enough. It's time you do what I purposed you to do.
I love that. So let's get into it. When it comes to living your life with passion and purpose, how do you differentiate the two? Like, what is passion and what is purpose? And then what order am I supposed to pursue it in?
So the disclaimer: this is the LJP's thoughts and opinion, and just talking, real life. That's a really good question, and I think that sometimes we get that confused.
Mm-hmm.
A couple things that I would say is that passion it fluctuates. It's emotion. It has its highs and lows. It's not consistent. And I think when I think about purpose, I think of the long game. What is the why? What is the overall goal? What is the purpose? And also, when you look at the distinction between passion and purpose, passion is going to be, to me, more focused on me. And when we talk about God instilling a purpose in each one of us, that's not, the greater good is the bigger picture. And so the greater good is the bigger picture, and how do you serve? So I think that while I have many passions, it becomes for me, how do I begin to align those with my purpose?
That's major.
And so if I were to put the one in front of the other, I would definitely say purpose would be the focal point, because again, that's the long game. That's what you're working toward. And in addition to that, when I think about purpose, if you're clear on that and you start to evaluate actions and activities against that purpose, you start to get more aligned and understand your lane.
Right.
You're just all over the place. And I feel like youth today are really kind of like whatever catches their attention, whatever's that shiny thing. Oh, I can make money here, or I can do this. And they're all over the board. But I think both pastors are known for saying this, write it down, make it plain. I used to keep it in my head a lot as to here's what I'm trying to do. And I look up and I am so in left field. So you got to be real intentional. What is your purpose? Because that will help to align what lane you're in. You're not supposed to be good at everything. You're just not.
A jack of all trades is a master of
none. Been there, done that. Yes.
That comes with the game. So purpose outweighs passion every time, especially when we're speaking from what God has put on our hearts in regards to our visions. And I think you've made that very clear. As a millennial, I've kind of used them interchangeably, but you've helped me understand that they're not interchangeable. Your purpose is what you were given to serve, especially to spread the gospel about God. But your passion, my passion could be whatever my heart desire, but it's my heart's desire, it's my selfish things. And we have the right to pursue our selfish interests, but that's not why God put us here. Is that what you're saying?
Absolutely. And I think that having a passion is not a negative thing. For instance, tennis is a passion of mine, but is that a purpose? No, but it has some it's important in the big scheme of things. It helps me to keep physical. It helps me to keep, mentally active, and have outlets. So it's still important. But again, your passion is something that it fluctuates. I may have a passion for something. I've had a passion for sports before. Well, I had a passion to be involved in basketball. I don't have that passion today.
You gave me basketball vibes for sure.
Well, and the other thing I want to point out is nowhere in the word, and I had to learn this, Pastor Tony Cash really helped me to understand this. Nowhere does in the Bible does it say, if you feel like it.
Ouch.
And so your purpose isn't one that fluctuates based upon your mood. It's one that it is what it is, and it is. And it doesn't fluctuate. Whereas our passions, again, they will come and go. There'll be highs, there'll be lows. We want to do it, sometimes we don't. When you understand your purpose, God's purpose for you, it's like the word. The word is the word. Whether you believe it, want to accept it, it's still the word.
So that don't change. I love that.
Yeah.
So that gets me into the next thing. You said that tennis is your passion, but what is your purpose? Do you know? Have you identified it? Is it something that you can share with us?
I think that's another great question. And here's what I've learned. I can see how God moves me in spaces. And what I'm learning is I don't quite know what the fullness of this role is right now, but learn everything you can, because if he needs to elevate you, he's using this as a training ground. And take the opportunity to learn everything you can, because if he needs to elevate you, you got to be able to sustain wherever he's elevating you to. So
I think this actually hits on what I was talking to God about in my devotional today. And he said to position yourself to be valuable. And it helped me reframe it in a way that the disciples were all businessmen. Jesus did not go look for the sweet, kind old lady who sits on her stoop all day. He went and found him some businessmen to join him on his journey. So I think, like what you just said, is positioning yourself to be valuable in all the spaces you are in can define your purpose. Am I getting that right?
Well, I think one of the other important things is to remember is part of finding out your purpose is a couple of things. First of all, let's be clear. And I think, again, it's not just the millennials, it's not just the Gen Z. You can't do that without going to the maker. You can't do that without going to the one who designed you, who knew you before you were born. And so I think it is imperative that you have a relationship with God. You have that time, that meditation time, to really understand where he's moving you, how he's moving you in spaces that you might not otherwise find yourself in. So I think that's critical to understand. That you have to be in prayer, you have to be in meditation, you have to worship and have that relationship. I would also say that in the times that you're not clear what your purpose is, just keep moving, keep serving.
Don't stand still.
Because he will reveal himself. He will reveal where you need to move. But I think too many people find themselves saying, when I get right, or when I fix things, or I'm not gonna move because he didn't tell me. No, that's not how that thing works.
Wait, hold on. That's not how it works?
No. You have to be planted and you have to get to work, because I found that in the work, he begins to do an amazing work in you. He begins to reveal yourself. He begins to reveal who you are to yourself. And it shows up in how you deal with people. I just tell you, he's shown me, I thought it was all that in a bag of chips. And then he put some people in front of me that says, you got some work to do. But it's getting busy and being a servant, serving people. And I think that's another really amazing point to keep in mind. It can't be a generation about me. We have to be serving. And how do we serve? We continue to serve to his glory, to build his kingdom. So if your passion and your purpose don't move to glorify him and build his kingdom, you might want to check your passion and your purpose.
Check your passion and your purpose at the door.
Passion and your purpose. Because if it's just about you,
I'm here for it.
I'm just saying, I can't say how God will speak to everybody, but for me, I align it with, does it glorify him?
Mm-hmm.
Does it build his kingdom?
Okay, I'm taking notes on that. Does it glorify God and does it build his kingdom? If those two things are in the mix of my purpose, I'm headed in the right direction.
You're headed in the right direction. And then the ongoing consulting with him through the quiet time.
Mm-hmm.
You can't figure out your purpose on your own. And that is so important to understand. Is too many people think, I can figure out the game plan. I got this down. I'm going to do this by 30. I'm going to do this by 45. And God is just laughing. I hear you. But that's not the purpose I gave you.
Mm.
And so when people find themselves disillusioned or not fulfilled, I'm making a lot of money, but I'm not fulfilled. That may not be part of your purpose. Now, that doesn't mean there isn't some passion in there that you can't parlay into your purpose. I think that
Right.
when you start to bring your passion and your skills and your purpose all together, that's amazing. You're walking in an amazing place.
So Janae said,
Mm-hmm.
what about when you do, or maybe she meant don't, so I'm going to say don't. What about when you don't feel worthy of fulfilling your purpose?
Oh, that's a really good question. Some good questions. Well, I think for the most part, we'll never feel worthy. We'll always feel like we're not up to the place where we want to be. Well, why me? I don't have a PhD. I don't have this. I don't have that. I don't have. You know what he's looking for? While man is looking at the outside,
Mm-hmm.
he's looking at the heart.
He's
And
looking
I
at the heart.
truly believe if you have a willing heart, he can do something. He can do something. And I was actually telling the pastor, I keep that in front of me all the time. If we want him to use us, then that means we have to open ourselves up to realizing we're not worthy, but he can still use us. He can still use us. And if he can do something with us that influences other people, we got to remember it's not always about us.
Right.
It's not always about us.
So I think for me, as I'm on this journey, I have always been a Christian, but I was not following Christ's words.
Mm-hmm.
And my mind was filled with a lot of anxiety. I battled anxiety so bad. Every day I was anxious of what trouble tomorrow was going to bring. I mean, in a full panic, getting dressed, panicking, in a car, panicking, just having these silent panic attacks because I'm like, I feel like I'm supposed to be doing so much and I can't get anything done and now I'm all over the place. And it wasn't until I sat my behind down, fasted, looked into the word that I really was able to say, oh my gosh, everything that I have already known that was in my heart that I've been blocking out with these fillers of being busy and productive and passionate was getting in the way of me leading my purpose. And it was filling my mind with so much anxiety that I just couldn't execute on nothing. Not my passion, not my purpose, nothing. Everything was just all over the place. It wasn't until I sat down and did that. So I was like, you know what? I feel like I'm equipped to walk. I don't know all the Bible verses. The ones I do know, I may remix them and say them a little different, but I can still be vocal about my love for Jesus Christ. I can still be vocal about why I think that more women should pour their hearts into Jesus and how your purpose is right where you're at. Like we say all the time, he knew you before he conceived you. It's not the fact that he knew you was going to have almond eyes. He knew your purpose before he conceived you, before he placed you with your parents. So I feel like just in that somebody would take me, mold me into what they wanted and put that purpose in my heart before I was even put into my mom, that made me feel like I had the work to pursue what I need to pursue as long as it glorified God and helped build his kingdom. So I definitely see it in that aspect that you said. But it also took some daily work, like just doing devotionals in the morning for 15 to 30 minutes wasn't going to be enough for me to be so passionate about my purpose, which I think Vanessa just said. She believes passion and purpose go together. And I'm in a phase where I'm just so passionate about my purpose. Like, you can't get me to shut up about spreading the gospel. It's like everywhere. Hey, lady in the grocery store, let me tell you about my God. And then I'm on Instagram, like, let me tell y'all why you need to do this. Or I'm speaking for myself, like, when I was in this space where I was a Christian, but I was not following Christ's words, it was a mess. It was a mess. And I had to check myself at the door. And I had to check in with God to see what I was doing wrong. But once I had that purpose, on my forehead, and I woke up with that every morning. It gave me the drive to say, all right, I got from 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. to do some things on this checklist of purpose to get me through the day. And now I don't have no time to be anxious. Like, anxiety can't fill my mind because I'm so fulfilled with the purpose that God has given me. So I think as a millennial, I'm not saying I'm a new believer, but I go to church and I was a Christian. Yeah, I'm a Christian because Black folks is Christians. But I wasn't following nothing in that Bible. It wasn't getting followed. And I had to be honest. Bray, you saying you're a Christian, but you ain't being obedient to nothing but what you want, what your passions are.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't until that purpose came in that I said, oh, I'm about to say some stuff that's not going to sit right with a lot of people. And I got to be okay with being rejected, whether it's my friends, my family. I mean,
he will help you. Your purpose will help clean house because they all want to align.
Man, you should have told me. I would have had a going away. I would have had a going away party. Hey, y'all, I'm about to go into Christ. Before I do, let's turn up. I didn't know how I was going to get cleaned up like that.
But Jibrayah, it's one of those, well, you had to go through things we all have. We can turn around to be a part of our testimony. You don't really have to spend time convincing people. You can only be a witness to what he's brought you through and continues to do. I'm going to write that one down myself.
Write it down. Say it one more time say it one more time for the audience because we got to write it down too.
Okay. What he's brought you through to do. And there was something else. I forgot.
What he's brought you through to do. So I love that. Now I want to get down to our own will because, being a Christian is about your own will to do things. It's not about, I meet some men and I'd be like, are you a Christian? I grew up in a church. Like, Mr. Sir, you was 32 years old. What does that answer my question. But I said it to say, what daily actions should we be taking as Christians to live out our purpose and our vision? Like, okay, we all know that we should spend devotional time with God. We all know we should read the Bible. But what are some real life disciplines and things we should do in our daily life to be with God? I'm talking, we're going to be honest here, health-wise, financial-wise, behavior-wise, relationship-wise. Like, what are those daily things? You don't have to give me a full list, but, what are that list of 5 things we should be doing daily to be devoted to our purpose and the vision God has for us?
Okay. Well, you already have mentioned, and the key one is the relationship. It's important to be able to hear from him. How he wants you to move in any given time during the day. He may need you to move to influence someone else or to share a word with someone else. It's interesting these days and times that we just don't know where people are. We have a facade that sometimes they need a word that could be a lifesaver. You just don't know. For me, like I said, tennis, that's important because it helps me to release. It helps me to have an outlet. It helps me to stay healthy. And let me tell you, it's easier to stay healthy than to try and get back to healthy.
Tell me about it.
That one I really, really emphasize is you got to take care of yourself. That means people, you got to drink water. It is an elixir. It is heavenly. It does some amazing things to your body and helps keep you flush. So I'll just say, you got to eat right. For myself, I'm doing intermittent fasting where I eat at 12 noon and then 6 p.m. Not for weight loss, but just to be healthy. God has made the earth and the fullness thereof, and we have let our eyes guide us to a place where that looks nice, but that food is killing us. But
wait, you dragging me. All right, you dragging me.
Hurting you?
You dragging me.
I'm sorry.
You telling the truth.
100? We keeping it 100?
We go keep it honest. I'm gonna sit back.
I'm just saying because see, I think for my age, and I don't need to tell it, but I think I look good. But I take care of myself, and that's important. And we as a race have to get to a place where you got to check your eating. You can't eat constantly because you don't give your body time to digest and regenerate and rejuvenate. We can't do to the temple just anything. So I think I've said enough on that. The other thing is our finances.
Okay.
Spend time with your finances. We have another Another thing that we do with leadership churches, we talk about your finances. It wasn't designed for you to be
in debt. God, please bless me. Thank you for that blessing. I'm gonna burn it in the fire.
You do not need that. You do not need that car that goes 200 miles an hour, 60 seconds. You don't need that car. And so we gotta sometimes, we really gotta begin to die to the flesh on a daily basis. That was probably number 2, your relationship with God and learning to die to your flesh. Everything that you can do, you shouldn't do, nor do you need to do. Because it comes to your mind.
Don't mean you got to go out and do it. And that hurts my feelings, but it's crazy because before I got saved, I would get up at any time. It could be 10:39. I'm gonna give me something to eat because I feel like it and I got options.
Okay.
And I was like, wait, this is killing me. I ain't got no self-control that I'm really gonna get up.
There, you said it right there. Self-control. Self-control.
So I got health. I got finances. What was number 3?
I just say self-control.
Self-control.
Your relationship with God. And that can't be, while you're driving all the time. It's like, just checking in, God, how you doing, what you need me to do. No, you need to praise him, to bless his name, acknowledge who he is in your life. And you need to be still and hear him. We are so busy trying to do everything. And I knew this when I had my daughter. I had her in everything, that to the point I was exhausted. Bless her. But when you're constantly moving, where does he have time to speak to you? How do you hear him? And so that's so key, that you sit down and not just have that morning time that you meditate in the wee hours in the morning, and it's the best time. But you sit and listen to him, listen to his response, because it shouldn't be a monologue.
Right. I got you. So I got health, I got finances, self-discipline. Number 4, you said.
Now you're trying to keep up with all of this.
I got relationships. So what's the final one? That daily action that Christians should take so that they can stay within their purpose and vision. What's that final one? Learning
to serve.
Ooh. But if I got a business and I'm serving people and they paying me, is that serving?
Why we got to do all that?
I'm talking as a character, because I have a lot of entrepreneurs. Like millennials, we pursue entrepreneurship like no other generation. So I feel like, hey, I'm just speaking as, say my name is Pauletta. I got this booming business and I'm serving my community, and that's my service to God. Is that enough?
That's one element of serving, but that's not the only. It's not a serve one and be done. I mean, you have to have a servant's heart. A servant's heart. And so you can be a leader and have a business, but the best leaders know how to serve. So I think being a servant is a really important component, because it also, we have to learn how to be humble. We have a few generations that don't even know how to be humble. So arrogant. We have to learn how to be humble.
And I was watching a sermon and prayed over humble, because I used to hate the word humble, because I thought humble meant to minimize yourself, to not overshadow anybody else. That's what I thought humble was. I went back, looked at the Hebrew definition of it, and it just means to be down to earth. It means to be what God has created you to be. Nothing less and nothing more. Just be that. Is that how you interpret humble?
That, and to not be so lofty. I think we think more highly of ourselves than we ought to. And the word cautions us about that. So when you're humble and you appreciate and you're grateful, you're more in line with having a heart that he can work with, he can do something with.
I feel that. I think with wisdom, I have really relearned what it means to be humble. So I thank you for that.
Absolutely. And I think that, there's some things as we go along trying to determine our purpose that we learn from, that helps us to become better aligned with the character, the quality person we want to be, and the purpose He has for us. So those all, and that's just a lifetime of figuring it out. It's not a one and done. You're okay. You're good. You're down this street forever. It's always learning, always growing, because we're always imperfect, trying to be perfect beings, which we'll never be. And so that's the beauty. He's always inviting us, encouraging us to lean on Him and not to our own understanding.
I love that.
Always acknowledge Him.
I love that. So I have to ask the audience, do you guys have clarity? Like, have we given you clarity on what is your why? Let me know in the comments. I got a comment from Vanessa. It says, I have the right to do anything, you say, but not everything is beneficial.
Yes.
He gave us a verse. Okay. I have the right to do anything, but I will not be mastered by anything. 1 Corinthians 6, verse 12.
That's Elder V for you. She gonna come back with the word. She got the scripture for you.
And I think that as a millennial, having scripture to back up or to forefront before I speak is really important. Because sometimes we have things on our heart and we're like, what's the source of this? And sometimes we think we philosophers. Oh, I came with this on my own. And then you go read the Bible, you're like, dang, somebody discovered this thing before me. I thought it was brilliant. I thought I was just brilliant. I thought I just cooked up something new. Whole time it was already written. So I absolutely love that. So we also touched on the fact that you said that serving others is a part of your purpose, glorifying God and building His kingdom. Does living my life with purpose include any other aspects outside of that?
Well, I think that there's a lot that happens in life, and they're all opportunities that He uses to guide us. And some of those are opportunities that came about from our own doing. For instance, I saw a car that I didn't need. He said, don't be in debt, but I'm in debt. So you learn a lesson, hopefully one time, and then you become a witness to what not to do. You understand how it brought you out. So I think that there's constant life lessons that help to, again, the highway seems to be wide and windy, but you start to focus based upon your experiences. And that's the thing of getting older, that you've gone through those experiences. And so now I can come back and tell someone like a young lady like yourself, saying, some things you don't need to go through. Sometimes you don't need to cry the tears that you're going to cry if you keep going down this road. Some lessons you don't have to hit the wall to learn. And so I think that's always something that the generation ahead is trying to tell the generation behind. And sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. But in the midst of it, God will train you. And sometimes it's a painful training to get you to realize your purpose. I think one of the things I also want to just touch on real quick again is we can't put an age to it.
Oh,
we have to be okay with, I used to do this. Oh, if I'd have done this, I'd be this much further ahead. No, I'm where I need to be. I'm where I need to be. Because on that one day He touched me and says, okay, He already knew the plans. He knew how this was going to play out. And so He could go back and restore our foolish youthful years. And that's a beautiful, and
that is beautiful.
Have that verse. So sometimes in our foolishness, we lose time in life, but He can restore that. But the thing is, we've got to be pursuing our purpose, which means we got to be pursuing Him.
I love that. So before we get into the next question, I want to do a little shout out. On this Sunday, we'll be doing a next gen sneakers and worship. Awesome. Right? We're going to be at our new summer building. I don't got the address on the top of my head. Elder Jeanette, if you got it, let me know. You got it?
No, I don't.
That's okay, because you guys can come to leadchurchatl.org for the address. But I actually will be speaking on the next generation. And I need y'all to look up. Oh, I'm nervous. So, I want y'all to come. Bring your cousin, your auntie, your best friend, your boo. Bring them all. We'll be doing next gen sneakers and worship Sunday at 10 a.m. So we got that church open at 10. And we'll be out by 11:15. We'll be out in and out. And then we'll have free ice cream afterwards. So it's going to be an amazing experience. Wear your sneakers, whatever your favorite pair of sneakers is, because we're having a generational talk. And I think for me as a millennial, I want to be poured into positively. So I know that sometimes we get, every generation, the generation before them got something to say. Y'all always got something to say. I'm sure the generation before you had something to say. This generation got something to say. But we want to speak from our perspective, because I feel like millennials, we are a generation of sharing. We want to share everything. We get on social media, I got to share, I got to tell you this.
Yes.
But I'm going to be in amazement as we grow as a generation and we learn to walk with Christ, and we have the mentorship of our elders, that we can start sharing the gospel alongside our passions, and we can cultivate our purpose with the guidance of our elders. And I think the leadership church is the best place to be to get that. This ain't your granddaddy church, but this also ain't your, we gonna sing gospel songs for 45 minutes, give you 15-minute sermon out the door. This ain't that. This is real. You gonna be touched, you gonna get the word, but you're also gonna get an action plan, so that you're not just holy on Sunday, you carrying God's gospel Sunday to Saturday. So I just wanted to get that little shout out before we get into our next question. I do want to see if the audience has any questions of their own before I ask mine, because I'm getting so much tea, that we call it tea. My generation call it tea.
Okay.
I'm getting so much tea from Elder Jeanette, and I'm just so appreciative of all the gems you dropped on me. I'm gonna go watch this live recording and take some notes on my own, because you really dropped it on us. So my next question to ask before everybody comes in, and the spoiled coach said balanced and intentional. I love that. I think that's a lot of the words that I've gotten from Elder Jeanette is, what is the true value in living in one's purpose? Like, is it going to get me to the kingdom? Like, why do I need to do it? Why can't, Elder Jeanette, why can't I just not do no bad? Is that enough for me to get to the kingdom? I'm just not going to do nothing wrong. I'm going to go to work. I don't really care for the job. I'm going to go. I'm going to take care of my baby. I'm going to pay my taxes. And then if I die, do I just go to glory? What if I just don't do nothing else? Can I still go to glory? Can I still be a part of the kingdom? Do I need my purpose for a pass into that place? And I'm talking as a millennial, but it's a real conversation. It's a real question.
No, that's a really good point. And you can't do good into heaven. Part of you can't just do good. There are people that are not Christians that do good, that are not getting into heaven.
You said we can't do, but everybody else is out here doing wrong and I'm doing good. So how you gonna tell me, I'm just talking as a character, how you gonna tell me that ain't enough to get into the kingdom?
God looks at the heart, and your actions will be accounted for. And so you can't let me say it this way. You can't do good and that gets you into heaven, because then it makes it sound like, or seems to you like you're doing of your own accord. Don't get it twisted. You're not, because it says in the word, you can't boast of what you do. His grace is given to you freely.
Yeah.
It was based on nothing you did. So even your good works, you can't boast of that. That doesn't get you into heaven. And you have to understand, he has a purpose for you. And that purpose is not just for you. That purpose is to permeate and touch people that don't know him. There are so many people that don't know him. We are to raise him, lift his name, that people may say, what must I do to be saved? And so if we're not lifting him, that people are wondering, wait a minute, I see joy, I see peace, I see just an ambience or an air about you that how do I get that? People aren't migrating to you or moving towards you because of something, a light that shines. Again, you got to check yourself, because it's not of your own accord. He's got a purpose that is bigger than you. And so just because you're going to work, you're picking up your kids, you're doing, that's not it. That's not it. That's why I think for me, when I got to church and started to get to work, then he started to do major work. Started to do major work on me. And so much of it, again, and I've heard people at the leadership church even say, I thought I was all of that and then some, until I came here and discovered all of my gaps and the holes and areas that God said, you got some work to do. You got to do it. We're going to need to get that out.
You just shook up the room with that one. I don't even know why I asked you that question, because you can't pay, what Pastor Tony talked about, you can't pay your way into Christ. And I think you just shook it up. It's like, oh no, I got to do the work.
Yeah.
And it ain't just look at me, God. I gave a homeless man $1. Let me in. I'm coming to the gates. Let me in. That ain't what it's about. You can't buy his grace. You can't buy his forgiveness. You can't buy any of that. People got to see the glow on your face. They got to see the glory in your work. They got to see your blessing and say, how can I get a piece of that?
Absolutely. And a big one. And I think Elder Vanessa put it up just a moment ago. And we have to love one another as we love ourselves. And if you look at society today, we lack love. We lack love. So part of the biggest mission is loving. The church, if you ain't loving, then you might get a tug on your shoulder. What's the problem? Because we don't just say it, we exemplify it and we show it. Because that was what we were told to do. That's the edict that went forth.
I love that. How you feel about yourself is how you're going to treat other people. That's why everyone about talking about your neighbor, treat your neighbor. But how can I treat my neighbor kind if my house a mess? I can't give you no sugar because my house is a problem. Like, fix everything in here so that it exemplifies what God is, what Christ is, so that other people want to be a part of the kingdom with you. I love that. So as the viewers are tuned in, I want to make sure that you guys follow us on Facebook at The Leadership Church. Follow us on Instagram. Go to your Instagram now. Follow us at The Lead Church, and on YouTube, The Leadership Church. Hopefully I said that correctly. Everything is down in the moving bar. So meet us at leadchurchatl.org so you can stay tuned in with us. We have some real honest conversations. It's not just with this Get Closer experience. We be having these conversations at church. It get real. It get real at the pulpit. And I think that if you want to get closer experience, not to just God, because you can do that at your house. I'm not going to lie to you and say you got to come to church to get close to God. But you need community and relationships to help harvest you, to help answer these questions. Because sometimes I'm reading the Bible and I'm like, what is you talking about?
And I think that's so important. We got to be able to talk through it in an everyday way and help people to not just give a message. Literally, I love about our churches. We're going to give you tangible steps. Here's how you do it. But we're also having honest conversation because we're walking this walk together, and it's not always easy. And while you can do it at home, something about assembling yourselves with other believers, it takes you to another level. It keeps you encouraged, and you encourage others. So don't forsake yourself assembling with others.
What's that verse? It said, where two are gathered. I told you I'd be remixing it, so y'all help me out. Where two are gathered. Somebody in the comments finish it for me because I don't know that one by heart yet. Where two are gathered.
We are gathered in his name. He is in the midst.
So definitely the assembly of it. We feed ourselves so much on social media, so much at work, so much on TV, on Netflix. And we feed ourselves so much that you need to have a community that kind of detoxes that mess that's in your mind and gets you closer to God. And I know Lead Church ATL is definitely going to be that for you, because it's been that for me for the past, since I was 16 years old. And even when I led astray and I came back, nobody persecuted me. Never said, where were you? And this why you got in that mess. It ain't never been that. You can always find your way back home. So that's what I really love about Lead Church ATL. If you can't come connect with us in person, you can always connect with us online. We have live streaming worship. So leadchurchatl.org. Leadchurchatl.org. That's going to get you to the glory of community. And we'll be doing some real awesome things out on the east side. And I would love for you guys to join us. This is episode 2 of Get Clarity series. We'll be back same place, same time next week. But before we go, I actually have a final question. You thought you was off. I did. I do have a final question, and then we out of here. Which one is it? This one's a good one, because sometimes people get it confused, and this is for late viewers. Do we have to be business owners and entrepreneurs to fully pursue our purpose in our passion, our purpose. The reason I say this is that a lot of my generation pursue entrepreneurship so they can have the freedom to do things on their own accord, but also because we've seen with our parents is that our parents devoted so much time to their jobs that they were just too exhausted. And this is not just the 9 to 5 of it. My parents getting up at 5 a.m., they ain't going back to sleep to 12, and they repeat this every day for 40 years. They don't have time to worship God because they are so consumed with this job. So do you think like business ownership and entrepreneurship is something that entrepreneurs will help entrepreneurs live in their purpose as they move towards the kingdom of God, as far as like how you can have control of your time?
I don't think being a business owner has anything to do with it.
Okay.
And I will say that anything that you're doing that takes away from time with God, that you're too tired, then I would say, I don't know. You need to sit down, because I just don't believe that He's going to bless you with something that pulls you away from Him. I've heard that many times, and I'm really, I'm gonna tell you now, millennials.
But what if it's 6 figures? It's 6 figures, and I got God to bless me with it.
And remember, when Jesus was a carpenter by trade, and what you have to keep in mind is the lowly are generally more open. And I don't want to say the lowly, the poor, but they tend to be more open. Remember the rich man. He did all the things that he was required to do. He didn't kill his neighbor, didn't steal, didn't perform adultery or anything like that. So he checked off all those boxes, but his heart was so tied up with his money that he couldn't part from his money. So business owners, when your drive and everything in your existence and your being is about making money, you don't have time to worship, to meditate, to read the word. I'd have to question, is He really in the midst of that? And I say that because I used to be about that money. What's the next move? I don't do that anymore, because here's the thing. It's all His anyway. When I look at the track record and how He's blessed me in places and spaces that I wasn't necessarily qualified. See, I got a track record to work from. But for those who are, everything is about money. What's the saying? For where your treasure is, there your heart will be also. And you can't serve two kings.
You cannot serve 2 kings.
God or money. And so
I'm hot.
You have to be careful of chasing the money, because what's yours is yours. And He will open room. He will make space for your gift. But He's not going to do it to the exclusion of you not spending time with Him.
I think we could drop the bomb right there. I'm sorry to drop y'all right there.
I dropped the pen.
The pen is dropped. Thank you guys for joining us on our Get Clarity series. If you love this conversation, please flood the comments. I just want to know how you feel. I just want to know if this series touched you. Talk to me. This was, man, we blew this out of the water with this one. And Elder Jeanette, she was like, I don't know. And I said, we're going to rock with it. And you done gave us all the words we needed for this generation to get to where we're going. And that's to glory. And that's to get more people in the kingdom. So, man, I just want to see the comments. I want to see how everybody enjoyed this experience. I know we'll be doing this again next week, same time, same place. We'll be doing it with Miss Alicia Cash and Xavier, and they're going to really get us to closing out your purpose. It's not like Jeanette said, it's not an age thing. You don't have to wait until you're up and ready. It's already in your heart. You just got to pursue it. So I'm excited. I'm excited for next week. Woo! Because Miss Alicia Cash, she a lot. Pastor Alicia Cash. She is like, woo, she gonna, if y'all thought this was hot, next week gonna be even hotter. And then on Sunday, I told you I got a little speaking part at church for next gen. So wear your sneakers, get real cute. We got ice cream afterwards. The address for our summer or fall location is on leadchurchatl.org. Connect with us on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube.
Absolutely.
Spread the word. If you need a church home, pull up on us. And yeah, I'm excited. So, Elder Jeanette, you got any closing remarks?
I just thank you for the opportunity to share my wisdom, my hopefully my pearls, and that it had some impact. It's a great topic, and it's all about what's your purpose. Operate in your purpose. Let God do amazing things through you for your purpose.
Wait, run that back. Everybody take notes. Let God do amazing things through you.
Yes.
And that's going to be the final gem for tonight. So thank you, Elder Jeanette. This was awesome. My name is Brea. We are the Leadership Church ATL, and this is Get Clarity series. Thank you for joining us. Make sure you share this YouTube link with your friends and family, whoever needs to touch, and we will see you guys next week. Bye.
Bye.